screen and all see the screen. Starting by the name of Allah, who is the most merciful and compassionate. No God deserves worship except Allah, and Muhammad's peace be upon him is the last prophet of Allah. Uh, as you all know that we are once again present to discuss another topic of English grammar, which is in fact a very important topic. And if I say that it is the most important topic, I'm not gonna wrong. I'm not going to be wrong. It's a very important topic, and most of the questions in screening tests or in one paper test come from this topic, and it's not a very uncommon topic. It is very indispensable. It's very vital, and there are so many important rules and interesting rules to learn. And inshallah, after taking today's class, you will not have any kind of problem in this particular topic. Our topic name is active and passive voice, and let's begin then. Okay, so first of all, my all dear students, you need to understand the word voice. Is this the same word which means awaz, which means sound, which means volume, or it is something else? So dear students, the word which we use for sound, volume, noise, it is not that voice. This word voice belongs to grammatical terms. We do have different types of words in English language. Some words are called grammatical words because they have got definitions, they have got explanations, and they are not self-explanatory words. And on the other hand, we do have some dictionary words which are self-explanatory words, which don't need any kind of explanation or definition. When you listen them, you directly understand their meanings. But some words don't have meanings. They have got functions, they have got definitions, they have got explanations. So among these words, there is a word voice, which can have different meaning in dictionary and can have different function in grammar. तो सबसे पहले इस word voice को समझना बहुत जरूरी है, because it is the base, it is the basic, and when you understand the main scenario and main concept of voice, you will not face any kind of problem, at least in understanding the main purpose and the aim of the topic voice. जिस तरह आपको पता है कि voice means sound, आवाज, volume, ठीक है, but it does not have the same meaning in grammar. Whenever you use the term voice in grammar, it gives you different sense. And what is this according to grammar? According to grammar, voice is a form of verb. It's a form of verb. Now you must be thinking whether it is first form of the verb, it is second form of the verb, it is third form of the verb, or ing form of the verb. What kind of verb form is this? Or it is something else? So my dear students, voice is that form of the verb in which these all forms are included. First form of the verb included in voice, second form of the verb, third form of the verb, and ing form of the verb. These all forms of the verb are included in voice according to grammar. And then they are divided into two sections. One is called active voice and one is called passive voice. So in active voice, we have different forms of verb. In passive voice, we have different form of verb, which we will study later on. So according to dictionary, the word voice means a form of verb, And it is not that form which is responsible to show the tense. As it is clear, like crystal, or as we discussed in our previous lectures, that whenever we want to find out the tense of the sentence, or tense of the action, or tense of the state, we have to go for verb, because it is that verb which tells us about the tense. If I say, I went to school, it is simple past tense. If I say, I go to school, it is simple present tense. If I say, I will go to school, it is simple future tense. So except go, went, and will go, there is no other change in a sentence. In sentence number one, the same subject. Sentence number two, same subject. In sentence number three, same subject. But the verbs are not same. So verbs bring differences among the tenses. If I remove the verbs, all sentences, in fact, without verbs, sentences no longer remain sentences, but for the sake of argument, if I say that if I remove all the verbs from every sentence, all the sentences become same as far as the tense is concerned. So verb form is responsible to show or to identify the tense. So the question here is this that verb form which identifies the tense or something else? So dear students, voice form of verb is not responsible to identify any tense. It is used to tell us in short, in simple words, I can tell you that it tells us about whether subject, the doer of action, is more important than the action, or action is more important than the doer of action. If you want to make a sentence, you will always have two important parts in a sentence. And if you don't have them, you cannot make a sentence. Part number one is called the subject part, and part number two is called predicate. In subject part, we always include the name of person, the name of thing, the name of place, you know, whom or what we talk about. In predicate part, we always add information. Information can be in a shape of action. It can be in a shape of situation. So when action or situation and the subject both come together, they create a multi-word complete sentence. If I simply say, Noshin studies English. Now here, I can divide this sentence into two parts, Noshin and studies English. Noshin is the first part of the sentence that is called subject, and studies English is the second part of the sentence that is called predicate, and that tells us something about the subject, Noshin. If I remove any of the parts, such as if I remove subject and I just say studies English, if I say studies English, it doesn't make any sense. If I say only Noshin, it still does not make any sense. So single subject or single predicate cannot create a complete multi-word sentence having proper sense. So that's why it's very important for you to divide your sentence and always have the important parts in the shape of subject and predicate. But it's also very necessary that which part needs to be given preference, either the subject, the doer of action, or the predicate action. Sometimes we think that doer of action or subject is more important. And sometimes we think the action is more important. So when we think that subject is more important than the action, we go for different way. And when we think that the action is more important, then we go in different way. So these two different ways are defined by the topic voice. So voice tells us, it makes us understand whether subject, the doer of action, is more important than the action, or action is more important than the doer of action. Whatever is important, it will be given more preference. Now here question is that, okay, I think in my mind that whatever I say about someone and whatever action I share of someone, that action was or is more important than that doer of action. And who did or who does, that person is not more important. So this is what I decided in my mind. So as far as the speaker is concerned or the writer is concerned, to the extent of speaker or to the extent of writer, it's clear. But how can I make my listeners or readers understand? How can my listeners understand that I am more interested in action or I'm more interested in doer of action? So for this, I will have to follow the rules and the structures of voice. If I say Noshin studies or Noshin broke the door, here Noshin is the doer of action, and here my preference or my importance towards Noshin is more than broke the door. But if I say that breaking door, this action was more important than Noshin, I can simply say door was broken by Noshin. Let me repeat these two sentences again. Noshin broke the door and door was broken by Noshin. If you compare the meaning of both sentences, you will not find any differences. As far as their meanings are concerned, they are equal in meaning. As far as their tenses are concerned, they are same in tenses. Noshin broke the door, it is simple past tense. Door was broken by Noshin, it is also simple past tense. Tenses are same, meanings are same. What is not same? The preference, the importance. In my first sentence, in which I brought Noshin before the action, Noshin broke the door. Here, my preference was towards Noshin, the doer of action. Whatever happened, that is not more important than who did it. In second sentence, door was broken by Noshin. Whoever has broken the door is not very important, but what has happened, that is more important. And this is not something very unusual or very strange. In common language, in our Urdu language or in Pashto language, we also use this formula as well. Like we say that, ye kaam kisne kiya? So here it means we are interested more than we are interested in doer. And secondly, ye kaise hua? Here we are interested more in action. So whenever you are interested in doer of action, you will go through active voice form. And whenever you are more interested in the action, you will go for passive voice form. So this is a very simple way to understand the concept of active voice and passive voice. How can you bring this kind of what do you call variations in your speaking or in your writing? You can bring variations through this active voice and passive voice. And without using any extraordinary word, the people understand your mentality. They will not only catch your meaning, They will not only catch your idea, they will also catch your mentality. As I earlier said, Noshin broke the door and door was broken by Noshin. Both of them have got the same meaning. But what was my mentality in my first sentence and what was my mentality in my second sentence? My mentality was in my first sentence towards the doer of action, and my interest in my second sentence was towards the action. So even without using any extra word, any extra kind of gesture or body language, you all understood that here the speaker was interested in the doer of action. Here the speaker was interested in the action more than the doer of action. So when you become CSP officers or when you start doing jobs as an officer, you will have to give importance. Sometimes you will have to give importance towards the doers, and sometimes you will have to give importance towards the actions. So how can you present them in your words? By the way of active voice and passive voice. So my dear students, this was the first and the main difference or main concept of voice. Let me read this one paragraph for you. The word voice has got two different meanings. According to dictionary, it means sound, noise, or volume. Whenever we use the word voice as dictionary word, it means sound, noise, or volume. Example, your voice is not clear. It means your sound is not clear. Note, dictionary words are those words which are self-explanatory words, which are not explained by any definitions or structures. तो ये तो था voice dictionary के मुताबिक. According to grammar, the word voice refers to a form of verb that tells us the doer of action is in subjective case or in objective case, whether the action of the sentence is more important than the doer of action or the doer of action is more important than the action for either speaker or writer, or whether speaker is interested in doer of action more than action or is interested in action more than doer of action, or whether the doer of action is definite or indefinite to both speaker or writer. This is the main concept and main usage of voice. वॉइस हमें क्या बताता है? वॉइस हमें सिर्फ यही दो चीजें दिखाता है. बाज़ औक़ात आपकी नजर में काम करने वाले की अहमियत काम से ज्यादा होगी और बाज़ औक़ात काम की अहमियत काम करने से ज्यादा होगी और बाज़ औक़ात काम करने वाले की अहमियत काम से ज्यादा होगी. तो जब काम करने वाले की अहमियत काम से ज्यादा होगी तो इस सीन में हम एक्टिव वॉइस को रेफर करेंगे, और जब काम की अहमियत काम करने वाले से ज्यादा होगी देन वी विल गो फॉर द पैसिव वॉइस. बाज़ औक़ात ऐसा भी होता है कि काम करने वाले का पता नहीं होता कि काम किसने किया, लेकिन वो काम नजर आ रहा होता है. Sometimes the doer of action is not definite, it's not clear, but the action is clear. जैसे आप बाहर जाते हो, जब घर वापस आते हो तो देखते हो कि आपके घर की खिड़की का दरवाजा टूटा हुआ है. तो दरवाजा टूटा हुआ है, डेफिनेटली someone has broken the door of window, but who has broken the door? यहाँ पर काम करने वाले क्लियर नहीं है, लेकिन जो काम हुआ है वो क्लियर है. तो बाज़ औक़ात काम जाहिर होता है लेकिन काम करने वाला जाहिर नहीं होता. तो इस सूरत में भी वॉइस फॉर्म से हम हेल्प लेते हैं that how can we make a sentence if the doer of action is not clear, and how can we make a sentence when the action is present but the doer of action is not visible, is not clear, is not definite. So this is the main concept of voice. Now let's see what do we have more points. Important point, voice is not that form of the verb. Form of verb नहीं है जो मैंने पहले ही आपको समझाई, जो कि tenses show करती है. Like first form of the verb is used, it is indefinite tense. ing form of the verb is used, it is continuous tense. Third form of the verb is used, it is perfect tense. So this is not that verb form. ये वो verb form नहीं है जो tenses के साथ है. It is not that verb form that indicates the tense. Its main purpose is to let the listeners understand through the sentence of the speaker that either he is interested in doer of action or in action. इसका मकसद सिर्फ यही है कि आपके सुनने वाले या आपकी लिखाई को पढ़ने वाले समझ जाएं कि आपका ज्यादा ध्यान, ज्यादा तरजीह कौन से पार्ट पर थी, सब्जेक्ट पर या डूअर ऑफ एक्शन या एक्शन. whether we use active voice or passive voice. ये बहुत important है. बहुत से लोग ये कहते हैं कि in active voice the meaning is different and in passive voice the meaning is different. So keep this in your mind, my dear students. Whether it is an active voice sentence or passive voice sentence, चाहे ये active voice sentence हो या passive voice sentence हो, there is no difference in meaning. Got it? So there is no impact or effect on its meaning, whether a sentence has active voice form or passive voice form. The meanings of the sentences in both situations remain same. अभी देखिए यहाँ पर एग्जाम्पल मैं आपको देता हूँ. Part 1. Salman Khan has broken the door of my room. So you will see the first part of the sentence, Salman Khan, invert in black, and second part of the sentence has broken the door invert in red. So these two, oh my God. Sorry for interruption. Right. Screen clear? In sentence, there are two parts. Salman Khan has broken the door. Salman Khan is the door of action, and this is the first part of the sentence, जिसे हम subject कहते हैं, and has broken the door of my room. This is the action, the second part of the sentence. Example number 2, my friend will paint the wall. Here, my friend is the door of action. Will paint the wall, it is the action, the second part. Example number 3, Sir Ilyas Afridi had played football. So here, Sir Ilyas Afridi is the doer of action and had played football, it is the action. So the first part in each sentence belongs to subject and second part belongs to predicate. So see, what is the explanation? Above all examples from 1 to 3 have one thing in common, and that is the doer of action. Doer of action is in subjective case. We brought the doer of action before the action inside the sentence. Thus, it is the first part of the voice that shows subject is doing something, or the doer of action is in subjective case. They also clearly indicate that all doers of action in all examples are definite. The speaker was interested in mentioning the doers of action in all examples. अभी देखिए example दूसरे तरीके में. The wall will be painted by my friend. Look at this sentence here. Example number 2, my friend will paint the wall. See, my friend will paint the wall. Here, my friend is given preference over will paint the wall. And here, see, the wall will be painted by my friend. तो यहाँ पर action जो है वो doer of action से पहले आ गए. Previous sentence में doer of action was the first part. Here, doer of action is the second part. Football had been played by Sir Ilyas Afridi. In the previous sentence, Sir Ilyas Afridi had played football. Here, football had been played by Sir Ilyas Afridi. तो यहाँ पर action or scenario different of explanation. Above all examples from 1 and 2 have one thing in common, and that is the doer of action is an objective case. यहाँ पर doer of action कौन से case में आ गया है? Objective case में आ गया. We brought the doer of action after the action inside the sentence. Thus, it is the second part of the voice that shows something is done to the subject, or subject doer of action is an objective case. So the speaker was interested in action more than the doers of action in all examples. Therefore, he brought action before doer of action. So इसी तरह, when you are interested in doer of action, you will go for active voice form. And when you are interested in action, you will go for passive. अभी आते हैं active voice form की तरफ one by one. तो अभी इसको हम separately, individually पढ़ते हैं. Active voice, it's a form of verb that shows subject does something. ठीक है? Subject इसमें खुद एक अमल करता है. It is used when doer of action is more important than the action. ये भी clear है आपको? Is used where वाज़ेह हो, clear हो, to the her in the sentence. ठीक है? इसके अलावा It is used to show that the doer of action of the sentence is inward in subjective case. Active voice का structures क्या होते हैं? Form verb form का first form is included verb form, third form and ing form without having any helping verb. Simple first form, second form, third form और ing form. ये तमाम के तमाम active verb forms में आते हैं. ठीक है? Structures for active sentence. Active sentence का structure क्या होता है? यही होता है. First, we mention doer of, first of all, what do we mention? We mention doer of action. He, she, I, you, we, they, Ahmad, Mahmood, Ahil, Haider Ali, Noshin, Sama, Wahab, जो भी हो. First, doer of action, and after doer of action, we mention the action. अच्छा, यहाँ पर एक बहुत दूसरा भी important point है that whenever we want to make a sentence of active verb form obligatory, we can't make a complete sentence without the subject or doer of action when the verb form of the sentence is what? Active. जब भी आप active voice या active verb form sentence बनाएंगे तो उसमें subject का होना लाजमी है. You cannot make any sentence of active verb form without subject or without doer of action. Here, Salman teaches English very well. So this is called active sentence because here active verb form is used. और explanation देखिए इसमें क्या क्या मैंने explain किया है. Explanation in above example, the subject Salman Ahmed is the subject and the voice of the verb active. How? How can you define that it is what? Active verb form. Firstly, because the above sentence clearly shows. What does it clearly show? That subject does something. Number two, secondly, the doer of action is more important. Thirdly, doer of action is clear to the speaker or writer. And fourthly, the doer of action is subjective case. Thus, whenever the subject, speaker, or writer is interested in above mentioned 4 points, he or she is liberated to use active verb form. This may doer of action be clear hai. Doer of action is in subjective form, subjective case, and doer of action is more important than the action. Here Imran Khan won World Cup, same is the case with the above sentences. अच्छा, एक दूसरा बहुत important चीज मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूँ. Difference between active voice and active sentence. What is the difference between active voice or active sentence? Are they same or they have got some differences? In fact, people difference between active voice or active sentence, but I would like to tell you its main difference. Actually, they are equal, but still they have got some differences. When I say active voice, जब भी मैं active voice कहूँगा, active voice means that verb form, only verb form. Active voice is not a sentence. This must be kept in your mind. Active voice is only to the extent of verb. An active sentence means that sentence in which active verb form is used. Here, she speaks English. This is not only active voice, it is active sentence. And what is active voice here? Only speaks. जब हम कहेंगे active voice, तो active voice का मतलब सिर्फ वो verb, not a complete sentence. But when I say active sentence, it means a complete sentence in which active verb form is used. It is indeed an important point to know about active voice and active sentence, whether they are same or not. As it is earlier mentioned, that voice is merely a form of verb and a single verb cannot be sentence always. A single verb can be sentence, but not always, right? On the other hand, when we mean sentence, we refer to both parts of the sentence in which subject and predicate statement formation is included and verb is merely the part of sentence. So the active voice means only verb form, not sentence. However, an active sentence means a complete unit of words in which an active verb form is used. In simple words, active sentence means a sentence in which active verb form is used. And active voice means merely a verb form, like Sahrish writes a letter. Here, Sahrish writes a letter. So Sahrish writes a letter. It is an active sentence, and only writes is what? Active voice. So here I clear my point. When we say active voice, so active voice means only that verb form. It does not mean the whole sentence. And when I say active sentence, it means the whole sentence in which active verb form is used. Now let's move to passive voice. So now what is passive voice? The second part of voice here, it's a form of verb that shows something is done to the subject. It is used once action is more important than doer of action. जिस तरह मैं explain कर चुका हूं पहले ही. It is used when the doer of action mention him or her as the doer of action. And number three, it is used when we don't want to show the identification of the doer. It is used to show that doer of action of the sentence is an objective case. And it is preferred to be used whenever we describe loss or damages due to the natural disaster like storm, earthquake, thunder, etc. These points are already clear to you. And the structure of passive voice is what? What is passive voice? Verb form? Be plus verb 3. What was the active? Inactive, we had verb 1, we had verb 2, we had verb 3, we had verb ing. Here we have only verb 3 along with helping verb be. Here be does not mean just be. Here be means all the inflected forms of be, such as is, am, are, was, were, been, or being, etc. So in passive voice form, helping verb is obligatory. And why helping verb is obligatory with every passive form? Because main verb is same, and to identify the tense, you need to take help from the helping verb. And if there is no helping verb, then it becomes impossible to identify the tenses. Just for the sake of identification of the tenses, we add here helping verb. And what is the sentence structure? What was the structure of active voice? First, there was doer of action, and then there was action. Here, first action, then doer of action. And note, for passive voice, the existence of subject is not obligatory. We can make a complete sentence without the subject or doer of action when the form of the verb is passive. Active voice में मैंने ये कहा था कि subject का होना लाजमी है. I mean to say, doer of action का होना लाजमी है. लेकिन passive voice के लिए ये जरूरी नहीं है. आप sentences बिना doer of action के mention के भी बना सकते हैं. You can also say, door was broken, wall was painted, she will be killed. Who will kill her? Who will paint the wall? No, not clear. So a sentence can be made without mentioning the subject or doer of action, only in passive verb form, not in active. Here, English grammar is taught by Salman Ahmed. In above example, English is more important than doer of action, Salman Ahmed. English grammar is taught here. See, in above example, the doer of action is not mentioned because the speaker or writer was not interested to mention him or her. इसी तरह, English grammar is taught. In above example, the sentence does not have any doer of action. 5 houses and 20 cars have been destroyed in earthquake. In above example, there is loss or damages due to natural disaster. So in above all situations, passive voice is preferred to be used. Got it? अच्छा, passive voice versus passive sentence, इसका भी वही same formula है. Passive voice means only verb form, and passive sentence means the whole sentence. Here, देखिए, a letter is written by Sahrish. So is written is passive voice, and a letter is written by Sahrish. This is what? Passive sentence. So now let's come to the most important part of the sentence topic today. What are the requirements for passive sentence? जब भी हम एक active sentence को passive sentence में जब तब्दील करेंगे, तो इसके कौन सी होनी चाहिए एक्टिव सेंटेंस में, ये बहुत जरूरी है. अगर आप इसको क्लियर हो गया आपको पॉइंट, तो आपका अगली point भी बहुत easy हो जाएगा. So first requirement for passive sentences, the subject of active sentence must be the doer of action. अभी जरूरी नहीं है कि हमारा एक्शन हमारा सब्जेक्ट हमेशा doer of action ही हो. Our subject can be doer of an action in the sense when there is action. And if there is no action in a sentence, like there is situation, there is a existence, or there is sense, so in this case, we cannot have subject in a shape of doer of action. For example, she has a car, or she is a teacher. So here subject is not doer of action. So only that sentence can be changed into passive voice has subject in a shape of doer of action. Number one, the verb must have object or receiver of action. अच्छा ये सबसे जरूरी ये चीज है. If your sentence has got object in